Hello, it is Sunday, May 7th, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Sunday puzzle today, which means a large grid with a theme. It shouldn't be as tricky as the past couple of days. The Sunday tends to be more of a midweek difficulty, so we'll see how that goes. And this extra large Sunday edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Noah Besenson, Madeline Lee, Tom Nemchek, and, as always, the invaluable Timothy Mark and the indomitable Schulmaster. So thank you so much to the 5 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They are sustaining this channel, keeping the series going, and for that I'm extremely appreciative. So thank you if you are among that group or any of my patrons. It makes a big difference, so thank you. And you can become a patron yourself by heading over to patreon.com/dailysolve or clicking the link in the description field underneath the video. Of course, that will get you all of the bonus videos that have gone up on the channel to date, as well as the new ones that go up each week. And if you're a benefactor, you can also get the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug. So look forward to those things if you're entitled to them, and thank you if you are a patron. And please do also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody who's done that. We recently passed 12,000 subscribers, which was a nice milestone to see. So thanks if you helped in that. And finally, you can join the Daily Solve Discord chat server. There's a link in the description field underneath the video, and it's a nice friendly chat community. So head on over there. Head on over there if you're interested in that. All right, let's get on to today's crossword. This is a Sunday grid constructed by a relatively familiar name, Will Nediger, nearly 50 puzzles constructed, and it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's start solving, see what's in store for... Oh, and the puzzle, of course, I shouldn't forget to read out the title on a Sunday, is Sea Change. So this will... I wonder if this means we're going to change the letter C. I just can't help myself trying to interpret the title of the Sunday puzzles. Could be changing the letter C, maybe from to the word sea, or we change names of oceans or something. I don't know. Let's start solving. We'll find out. Large dog breed. Mastiff would fit. That's a sort of classically large breed. Let's just put it in and see if it happens to be correct. Rap battle participants. That could be MCs. Rappers. That feels good. Could be the classic ah. Probably 2 H's. I think of AAH as being more of a startled cry, ah, whereas AHH being more of a relaxed ah. But we'll have to double check just to find out. Donned as a silky dress. Slipped on, you can think of you think of people as slipping on a silky dress, but no, that doesn't look right. What about this? Unit equivalent to 4.184 joules. I don't actually know. And what about this? Thought experiment that asks whether an object remains the same object if its parts are replaced one by one. This is the ship of Theseus. Thought experiment. Does that fit? It does, yes. So this is the idea. Theseus's ship, it's, let's say its mast is replaced because the mast is rotting away, and then maybe one of the decks is replaced, or the main deck, and then so on and so on and so on. And then eventually none of the components or materials that were used in the original construction of the ship are still present. Is it still the same ship? That's the thought experiment. And so interesting. I'm confident that's the answer. And we filled out these shaded cells. There are 4 of them throughout 4 of them successively at the beginning of the answer. And we filled them out, and it didn't seem like we had to do anything. Is this going, they're all 4. Is this going to be ship? Acorn loving duo. No, that's not ship. No, it's not ship. It's going to be Chip and Dale, the cartoon characters. So this is going to be presumably a word ladder. So, and a very appropriate, Ship of Theseus is a great kickoff for a word ladder. This is a very clever beginning, because a word ladder is a pattern by which you change only one letter at a time in a successive kind of iteration of the same letter count. So we have 4 letters here, and each time we're only changing one of the letters, but we need to still create a real word. So you couldn't have just changed the H to, a V or something. That wouldn't have maintained I'm trying to pick something that I don't think is a real word. I don't think it is. But you get the idea. So ship changes to chip, and then We presumably won't change the first letter again next time. We might change the first letter again later on, but I assume we won't change the same one twice in a row. So this will probably start with C. Restaurant pickup option. Well, now I just can't think what it is. Well, anyway, I think we're on the right track, though. Let's see if we can get anything from these crosses. And I wonder what we'll change into. Maybe we'll change back to ship eventually. That would be kind of interesting. Oh, here it says thought experiment that asks whether an object remains the same object if its parts are replaced one by one. Oh, right. Is there another version of this thought experiment? I think it's an axe is often it's an axe handle. If you replace the axe handle and then you also replace the axe blade, is it the same axe? But I don't remember whose axe it was or what it's called. Well, does Ship of Theseus fit? It does. It would be so strange to have the same answer in a New York Times crossword twice, but it would make sense with this theme. Let's see if this works. Durable wood, oak. Dad in Korea. Oh, I'm not sure offhand. Patriot Allen, Ethan Allen, an early U.S. patriot. Okay, this is actually looking plausible. What else do we have? Makes crispy. Some things go quietly. To sneak is to go quietly. City that hosts an annual pirate festival. I don't know. Tampa. Oh, Tampa. Because there's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe that's related to that. Oh, Opa? Is Opa dad in Korean? That sounds familiar. Flower variety with a palindromic name. Well, that would require this to be auto, which I don't think is true. Ata. So maybe Appa is dad in Korean. That would make sense. Papa is. I've seen the linguistic theory. I find this completely compelling and fascinating. The reason that ma, pa exist as some variant of those exist as names for mother and father in so many languages. I mean, presumably not every language, but many languages spanning different language families. The linguistic theory I've seen to explain that is that when a child is learning how to vocalize sounds, the first thing it will do is simply make just a long vowel sound like ah. But then when it starts to introduce closed mouth shapes, it will simply do the most straightforward thing, which is close its mouth while doing that. Ah, ma, 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 ma. And that creates mama. And so that gets interpreted as a name of the person who's most likely to be closest to the child at that stage in its life, its mother. So the mother I'm saying we're going back a long time in the development of the language. That sort of turns into the thing that the child uses to refer to that person. And then kind of the next easiest thing to do is basically a harder version of that same thing where you put more of a bite on the syllable and make a pa, 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 and then that becomes papa. And I find that an incredible sort of, just it's sort of totally arbitrary. They're completely arbitrary syllables, but they end up getting sort of canonized into these words that become part of many, many languages. Anyway, makes crispy, roasts perhaps. Sorry, we're already 7 minutes into the solve and I've done almost nothing. Can spare a few moments. If she can spare a few moments, she has time. This is looking correct, isn't it? Bay Area School, University of California, San Francisco. Let's see, bone at the base of the spine. I'm not sure offhand. Rosalind of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Not sure about that. Link of a sort, a URL, a uniform resource locator, a web link, and a challenge for a cleaner could be a challenge for a cleaner, soot or what? First president of the 99s, an organization for female pilots. Oh, I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm not familiar with it. Obviously not, you goof. I ran out of steam here, but Ship of Theseus is seeming pretty good. I mean, we have Ship of, maybe there's another Ship of, no, I like the idea that it's Ship of Theseus again. We've changed back and forth. I like the idea of that. So I'm going to leave it in there until proven otherwise. 1 pip card, an ace, so 1 pip, one sort of dot for the ace. Mangeshkar, Indian singer known as the Queen of Melody. I'm not sure. Alertly responsive to. If you're alertly responsive to something, you're aware, you're alert, you're not alert, you're attuned to it. There we go. Tidy up is to neaten an area. Bone at the base of the spine. What is this? I'll probably recognize it when I see it, but I can't think just now. And, oh, really? Blank pet. Oh, chia pet. The fact that pet is capitalized suggests this will be a brand name of some, or proper noun of some sort, in this case, a brand name. So chia pet, one of those sort of porcelain things where you grow seeds in it and it looks like hair or fur. Oh, really? Is it? Oh, right, this is an S, and this is an S. So in the middle of the latter, there would presumably also both be S's. Loafers, e.g. Some shoes, right? I'm guessing with the OES at the end. Slip-on shoes. Oh, right, okay. And slip to ship. So again, we probably won't change the second letter twice in a row, I'm guessing. So this is probably an L. Pail for feeding pigs. Yes, slop. So slop goes to slip, goes to ship. This is looking correct. A slop bucket. There we go. And then what did we change this time? The O changed to an I, so we'll probably retain the O here. Ostentatious behavior. I don't know. We'll come back to that in a moment, but let's look at these crosses. Instrument in Joan Tower's Island Prelude. It looks like oboe to me in terms of instruments. And available for rental in Brits could be what, for hire or on hire maybe? Fast food offering that may come with a toy. A kid's meal, as such as for McDonald's, for instance. And if you accomplished something, you did it. Lake that's home to South Bass Island. Erie, it must be Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes. And ideas worth spreading spinoff. Right, this is TEDx, which is those TED Talks. They have sort of kind of decentralized versions of them or something, where they're sort of not officially sanctioned by the TED organization or whatever. County between London and the North Sea. Oh, look, here we have a bit of British language on hire, and then Essex County between London and the North Sea. And then food served with gari and wasabi, sushi. There we go. Oh, sacrum, the bone at the base of the spine. I was wondering if it was something like that, but I wasn't very confident about it. But that sounds familiar now that I had more of the crosses. So Rosalind, I'm still not sure who this is, nor this person. Ones making mistakes are founderers. If you're foundering, you're sort of making a mistake. Oh no, that fits, I guess. Blunderers. That's more. A blunder is more of a direct mistake. Foundering is sort of generally being kind of scattershot or collapsing, whereas a blunder specifically is a mistake. Oh, Amelia Earhart. That makes sense. Famous pioneering woman aviator. Challenge for a cleaner icy would be a sty. This place is a real sty. You could say it's a real pigsty. It's a mess. Obviously not, you goof. No, silly. Right, okay. And then must be Rosalind Chow. Fair enough. I don't think I've ever seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But we can move on. So award-winning sci-fi author Bacigalupi. Not sure about this. I'm also not very familiar with sci-fi authors, as well as television shows. So let's see. Blank Tide, Neap Tide. I know that is one of the tide categories, I guess. Let's see. Human, e.g., is an ape, I guess, maybe? Mudhole wallower. A hippopotamus would wallow in a mudhole. This looks like Paulo, maybe. Award-winning sci-fi. There could be Paula, I suppose. Could be either. Less than demure kiss. A smooch. Okay, it was Paulo. And augurs. If something augurs well or augurs ill, it bodes well or bodes ill. That's portentous in some way. Selection of appetizers in Greek and Turkish restaurants, meze, the sort of small plates courses. And blow someone away is to amaze them. And the way I see it via texts, IMO, in my opinion, a reusable shopping bag, plural, reusable shopping bags are totes, maybe, tote bags. And like ceramics are fired in a kiln, I guess? Yeah. And chef and food writer Salmon, oh, I do know this name, Nusrat, maybe? Uh, I am familiar, but I can't actually think of the exact name. Prevaricating. If you're prevaricating, you're lying. Okay, I was on the right track with that N. Gloater's words. Oh, I bet it ends with U. Although this doesn't look quite right, does it? Oh no, Chow Yun-fat. Okay. Hong Kong action hero who frequently collaborated with John Yu. Yes, Chow Yun-fat. Okay. So, what are the gloater's words? I'm not sure offhand. Maybe this is Nosrat with an O. Gloater's words. Don't know, I'm just not sure. Rats, darn. Home of Grace Hopper College. Grace Hopper was, I think, an early computer programmer for the military, maybe? I don't know where the college in her name is located, though. Use crayons. To use crayons is to color. There we go. Salsa variety, casually. Pica de gallo is the kind of fresh salsa, freshly chopped tomatoes and onion and things. Actress Ullman. Liv Ullman, that sounds familiar. Is that an actor? Denies knowing anything about. Disavows. Yeah, this is looking right. Attack. Assail. Yes, to assail. Okay, that did work out as I hoped. Italian nickname. Sal, maybe, for Salvatore. And blank Rachel Wood of Cajillionaire. Evan Rachel Wood is another name I recognize. Don't think I've ever heard of Cajillionaire, but that must be right. Thawing could be a defrost, maybe? Because you could also say, I'm thawing this, I'm defrosting this, but as a noun, you could say a thawing is a defrost. Maybe. I'm not certain this is correct. But, because it could be de-icing as well, actually. Then it would match. I'm de-icing this, I'm thawing this, Gloater's words. I don't know, it could be either. Part of BPS, that's beats per second, probably? What did I say this was? What was the other thing I said this was? A defrost. Oh, well, neither of these really fits. It could be per or seconds. I don't know. Person living between Liberia and Ghana. Is it an Ivorian? Someone from the Ivory Coast? And Gloater's words. I told you so. There we go. There we go. Okay, it is Nosrat. Summon Nosrat. There we go. Okay. Home of Grace Hopper College. Is it located at Yale University, maybe? Let's check. Let's just try it and check the crosses. Member of a kingdom that spans the globe, the animal kingdom. And Canada's House of Commons has 338 of them in brief MPs, members of parliament. And object for binding contracts could be a staple. So you could, obviously, you think about binding contracts as binding, meaning in a metaphorical sense, this contract is binding you to the terms to which you're agreeing. But no, here we literally mean binding the pages of the contract together with a staple. Oh, so a thawing is a détente, right? Okay, so you could have two nations that are having a détente, a thaw of relations. And the part of BPS is the per bit. A card table declaration you could pass at a card table. I pass. A meaning of something is the sense of it, which we often have to discern in these crosswords. Let's see. Hasta luego, you could say. I'll see you later, I suppose. And then blank funny. Not sure. Hebrew for head. Not sure about this either. What about this one? Ostentatious behavior. Oh, let's look at this again. Dramatic action movie effect. Slow motion, and that is on our word ladder here after or before slop. So now we have slow. So the W changes to a P there, probably won't change again. So let's try the W there just to see. Ostentatious behavior, yes, showboating. No, there we go. So show changes to slow. So what remains constant here? Probably the H. Yes, and the H is here anyway, so it would make sense that it would stay. So what is this? Restaurant pickup option. So this has to go between chip and chow. Right, okay. Oh, right, it's probably not the third letter that changes, because then it would go from CH blank P to a different CH blank P. Oh, then it would be chop. Oh no, maybe that does work. Chip, chop, chow. Yeah, that does work. Does that? Oh, chopsticks. Yes. Right. Okay. So pickup option, an option to literally pick up food at a restaurant. So chopsticks, or a fork could be a different option there. That's a clever clue. So chip, chop, chow, show. Does that? Yeah, that works. Slow, slop, slip, ship. Yeah, fascinating. All right, so we did it. We changed all. This is such a nice little. It's such a nice tight theme. So we got from ship all the way back to ship. We changed all the parts. Is it still the ship of Theseus? You'll have to answer that for yourself. Anyway, let's fill out the rest of the grid. Have an emotional impact on is to touch somebody. More intense is something presumably. And blank redivivus, first century myth about an emperor's reappearance. Oh, I don't know. Nero? I don't know. Just thinking that based on emperor. Twin bed. Oh, bunk bed. There are two of them, so twin. Maybe it is Nero. Astronaut Ellen of shuttle missions. Oh, I recognize this name. Ellen Ochoa, astronaut of space shuttle missions. So Hebrew for head. Is it nosh? I was thinking maybe that's what it was. Is that where we get nosh from in Yiddish? I don't know. That's just my guess. I don't know if that's actually correct. Like a bedel. Oh, no, maybe not. Oh, is it Rosh? Yeah, okay. Rosh Hashanah, I suppose. So a bellowing crowd is a roar. There we go. And ha-ha funny, right? You could say, oh, is it ha-ha funny? Is it laugh out loud funny? Or is it more of a wry funny? Meeting informally could be a session. And to run into the ground, to run something into the ground would be to overuse it. Yes, there we go. To learn through the grapevine is to hear something. And a place to run some tests is a laboratory. So if you're in fine fettle, that's a phrase in fine fettle, meaning you're hale and hearty, you're doing very well. And World Cup organization would be FIFA, the governing, the sort of global football governing body. So what is this? What is the unit equivalent to 4.184 joules? Just not sure. Probably be very obvious when I see it, but I just can't think. Literary theme from the Greek. Sorry. A topic? Oh, that's interesting. Is that a Greek word? Is that true? Is that what the answer is? It seems almost too straightforward. To participate? No, it's not. Okay. To participate in a pledge drive would be to donate. So what is this? Literary theme. Topos? Let's see. Steam trains from the 19th century. Iron horses, as they were often called. Nothing but net. So this is in basketball. There used to be a series of ads with Michael Jordan. I don't even remember what they were advertising. Maybe Nike shoes? I don't know. Where he would shoot a ball and it would bounce off all kinds of things and then swish through the net, and he would say nothing but net. I think I'm remembering that correctly. Anyways, it's swish, which is meant to imitate the sound of the ball going straight through the net without hitting the rim. Harmonize is to sync, to synchronize, to sync up. And that's wild in a modern spelling. Oh, is it woe spelled this way? I do not like to look up for reasons that are hard for me to vocalize. It looks like woa or something to me. It looks like a different vocalization, whereas woe spelled this way looks like how I imagine the word actually stated aloud. But anyway, yes, you do see this sometimes now. Hither and yon. So you're running hither and yon. You're running all over the place. The artist Francois Boucher, I suppose, said that it was too green and badly lit. Nature, I suppose. That's funny. Donned as a silky dress. Oh, slid into. Okay, that's all. That's in similar, I don't know, tenor to the slip on that I was slipped on that I was postulating before. It's the same kind of thought, but slightly different. So this doesn't look familiar to me at all. Oh, is it a calorie? And I misspelled. Ah, right. Okay, that feels good. My whole explanation was irrelevant to this answer. I thought it was the AAH because AAH looks like someone yelling to me, but I did say it could be either. And anyway, in this case, it was the other. So a calorie is 4.184 joules. That's interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have remembered that conversion certainly. Anyway, literary theme is topos. There we go. And abbreviation in ancient dates could be BCE, before Common Era. And UK Movie Award is a BAFTA. That's the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Ooh, I helped win a BAFTA on a video game I worked on called Firewatch. I forgot to mention, could be also, actually we won more than one BAFTA. Awards for ad campaigns are Clio's, and More Intense is... Why don't I see what this is? It's Clio's. Oh, Clio's with an I. There we go. Fiercer. And then the false killer whale resembles it. The false killer whale. Orca. Interesting. I'll have to look that up. False killer whale. Does that just mean an animal that isn't a killer whale? Or is there a specific actual phrase, false killer whale? I don't know. I'll have to find out. Or someone will tell me in a comment. November honorees are vets. This is for Veterans Day, celebrated in the U.S. And between the shoulder blades annoyance could be an itch. Some Pacific salmon. There's coho salmon, is a variety of salmon, so cohos in this case. And comedian Margaret Cho. She was really big in the 90s, I remember. Have because of, you have something because of someone, something or something, you owe it to them. And buonasera, you might say, an Italian greeting. Bucking beast informally is a bronc, so a bronco, and then informally a bronc, bucking bronco. And singer Amos, Tori Amos is a singer, so there we go. What else? Came to attention, say. You sat up, maybe, or came to attention. Could be you came to attention in a military sense. You sort of came rigid to attention, or it could be something came to your attention. It could be either of those things, but I'm not immediately thinking what either is. Portrayer of Princess Diana on the Crown. This I have seen. And I can picture her, the actor in my head, but I can't remember her name. I'll probably recognize it when I see it. Idleness is stasis. I can't think. Produce speedily without. If you produce something speedily, you whip it out, so you produce it very quickly. And if you invited someone over, you had them in, or had up, had in. Came to attention, say. Stood. Oh, okay, right, stood at attention. Jersey call, so this is referring to Jersey cattle, presumably, from the island Jersey, so moo, I would think. And then idleness. Oh, otiosity, there we go. If you're otiose, you're kind of idle, and so otiosity, I guess, would be idleness. Don't know that I've heard otiosity used as a noun often, but there it is. Month for Canadian Thanksgiving, that is celebrated in October. Oh, I thought it was. Is this not makes crispy? Is this not roasts? Is it not October? What is this? Had in, to move slowly is to inch along. Oh, toasts, right. Makes bread crispy. Toasted, right, okay. Fair enough. I was thinking of sort of roasted potatoes, which you can make very crispy by roasting them, but toasts is better, actually, than roasts as a verb to mean makes crispy. So there we go. All right. Whoops. Digs in a forest. A lair or a cave or what? Digs in a forest. Not sure. king in Portuguese? Rei, R-E-I, I would think. Does that help? A nest. There we go. You could have a nest in a forest. And digs meaning habitation, a home. Emily Dickin's hometown. I want to say Amherst. I don't know if, I'm not completely certain that's correct, but that's my sort of back of the memory guess. Scrabble rating system. Does Scrabble use the ELO rating system, which is used in chess as well? Wasn't aware that it was used in Scrabble, but that might be the answer. Named for ELO somebody. And legally void status could be nullity. If something is legally void, it's null. So that status you could say the status of nullity. Sort of reminds me of odiosity. You don't really hear people say nullity very often. Oh, Emma Corrin was the portrayer of Princess Diana on The Crown. There we go. It was familiar once I finally got enough of the clue to think. Stylish, if you're stylish, you're chic. And thwart the interrogators is to clam up, to not speak. A good way to be regarded to be regarded highly is certainly good. And to secretly surveil somebody is to spy on them. A septet in A Christmas Carol. 7 swans a-swimming, I suppose it must be, in the 12 Days of Christmas. And then here we have a movement for a finger or a tail. You could wag your finger at somebody or wag your tail if you have a tail, I suppose. A drummer's setup could be a drum set or a drum kit, actually. Which do I think it is? Demure kisses. Probably doesn't end with 2 S's, so drum kit, I would say, is more likely. A peck is a demure kiss. A small, chaste kiss. And a metro area question mark. Well, with that accent there, it looks like we're not using the English language word metro, but rather the French language word métro. So Paris. And that comes from English, metro. It comes specifically from the Metropolitan Railway, which was created in the mid-19th century here in London and was the first underground railway in the world. And from that, the Metropolitan Railway, other underground systems, other subway systems derived the term metro, which is now used in many, many languages. And ironically, we don't even call it that here in London. We call it the tube. I mean, there's the Metropolitan line, which still exists. It's still a significant part of the underground system, but the underground is the underground or the tube. Anyway, come in handy is it avails itself. It comes in handy. Let's see. Brinks, on the brink of something. You could be on the eve of it. And prestige is cachet. There you go. You have a high degree of cachet, high degree of prestige. And half of a leaf recto. This is recto and verso, the sort of pages of a physical layout of a book. The actual two, when you open a book, those 2 pages are recto and verso. And hoity-toity, uppish, I suppose, sort of someone who's a bit pretentious. Uppish, is that a phrase? Must be. And oily sauce could be pesto. So yes, basically oil and herbs mainly. So, and garlic, I suppose, most often. So does this work? Yes. That was the Sunday puzzle. I really enjoyed this theme. I mean, these Sunday puzzles are so enormous that the time in between solving the theme and actually finishing the rest of the crossword was, you could solve an entire Monday crossword in that amount of time. But there we have it. That was it. We created our ship of Theseus. We created and recreated our ship of Theseus. Or did we? Was it the same ship the whole time? Who knows? We went from ship of Theseus to Chip and Dale to chopsticks to chow yun fat to showboating to slow motion to slop bucket to slip-on shoes, and finally back to ship of Theseus to complete our word ladder that ran down the grid. Very clever. I really enjoyed that one. I liked, I already thought it was clever to start the word ladder with ship of Theseus. It didn't occur to me that how thematically consistent it was going to stay by ending on our recreated ship of Theseus as well. That's very great. And it certainly lives up and goes beyond the promise of the title Sea Change, which if you remember when I was hypothesizing what this might be at the beginning of the puzzle, I was thinking of things that were much less clever than this, much more sort of simple thematic operations. So I was very pleasantly surprised about what we ended up doing. Hope you enjoyed it as well. And with that, let's discuss a few clues from yesterday's crossword, a themeless puzzle, the Saturday crossword. I did mark a few of those down. So, Kathleen Quinn corrects me, which, once again, I forgot what mens rea, M-E-N-S-R-E-A, forgot what that means in the legal context, which I have done before. I've forgotten it before, and I forgot it yet again. She explains mens rea means the intention or knowledge of wrongdoing that constitutes part of a crime, as opposed to the action or conduct of the accused. So it's that intentional state of mind. Thank you for that. I will really try and remember that going forward. Nix Hicks confirms maple seeds are indeed often called helicopters, as their two-winged shape makes them spin as they fall. So thanks for that. And Heather Whaley confirms chino is derived from the fabric which originated in China, popularized by American troops in the Philippines. Thank you. I was wondering, but I wasn't certain. And finally, Adrian Chavez explains Carolina Reapers, the peppers, the hot peppers, included in yesterday's puzzle, rate at a 2.2 million on the Scoville scale, a metric to measure the heat level of peppers. For reference, a jalapeno is around 2 to 5,000 on the same scale. So that is a significant sort of difference in magnitude. 2 to 5,000 for a jalapeno to 2.2 million for a Carolina Reaper. Anyway, Adrian continues, I got the chance to eat a Carolina Reaper, looks like more than one, at the National Fiery Food Show, and it felt like licking hot asphalt on a 100-degree Fahrenheit day, followed by the worst stomach pain I've ever felt in my life. Well, it sounds like quite an experience. I was curious, so I looked up the Carolina Reaper, and it seems as though the person who bred the Carolina Reaper has since topped himself 2 times over, at least, with even hotter. I think he has one that is some 3.5 million on the Scoville scale, and maybe another that's even higher than that. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine what you would do with these other than use incredibly small amounts of them in hot sauce, I suppose. I guess that's what you do. Anyway, fascinating. I guess the other thing you do is you exhibit them at fiery food shows and give people extremely upset stomachs. So there we go. Those are the clues from yesterday's puzzle, and I'll be back tomorrow for the Monday crossword. Should be a much simpler, much speedier solve. Hope you join me for that. We'll still have a theme though. And until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Sunday. Take care.